Is communication actually bullshit? In my head, communication is like not that big of a deal.
Communication is really what the other person hears versus what I think I'm saying. What do I need to do to give this person what they're actually asking for?
I'm a man and like I matter. Like my voice matters, my opinion matters, my wants, my needs, my desires, my thoughts, my feelings are valid. Like it all matters. Today, the question is communication actually bullshit? Or is it important?
I think it's more back to expectations. Men, the expectations of men, those have changed significantly. We talked recently about male suicide rates and just the change in the dynamics. You brought up like two-income households and
Yeah,
expectations of men are like just very different today than they were 50 years ago and
for sure.
200 years ago. And right, like, and it seems like there's a lot of challenge and struggle with what men are going through right now.
Yeah.
And that did lead into a conversation around communication.
Yeah, it's like, we're talking about like identity crisis, of men and how things have shifted over time, which led to a conversation about communication and its role in our life. And I was like, in my head, communication is like not that big of a deal. And I know that that's probably like a triggering thing to say. I also know that personally that it's something that I'm working on. And even that's like strange to say because I feel the communication is unimportant.
Why?
I think it's just because personally, like, I don't need or want that much communication. Like, I don't need it.
And you're talking about what relationship though? Like that'd be important to.
Any, to be honest. I mean, we are in meetings every week, right? They're like important meetings for our company. And like, I loathe being in those meetings because it's like so much communication that in my head is sometimes I feel like, oh, all of this is unnecessary. If I could just get like a email with the important key points, that would be great. I need the bare minimum important information that I need to do my job and do it well. So like all the fluff stuff and conversation stuff, I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with that. With friends, I don't communicate with my any friends that much, you know? And then the most important place that communication shows up is obviously like in my relationship with my partner. And I know that we have two very different needs when it comes to communication. And for me to fulfill her need, I feel like not only do I need to be better at communication, but like deep down internally somewhere, something needs to change philosophically with what I believe communication and its importance plays in my life. Because it's like, this isn't like a new thing. This isn't like this just popped up. I mean, for as long as I've been an adult, like people have told me I'm a poor communicator and that communication needs to improve. And so like somewhere deep down inside, like that idea or that belief that I have that like communication is like, you know, whatever, that needs to change. And I struggle sometimes with how, like, where do you start?
Well, I mean, you covered several things, and one thing that came up as you were talking about like meetings, for example, is I've heard something from Elon Musk where he set like this policy at his company where people had the the agency or the autonomy to say, like, I'm going to not go to this, I'm going to leave this meeting because it's actually like not like that valuable to me. Right? So
Mm.
he gave like his employees like that kind of freedom to say, like, yeah, this meeting is more like taking time from me. All I need is like the quick recap or whatever it is. So it's an interesting like dynamic to think about, like in the work environment, of course, like in the startup, and you know, where is collaboration needed and where is opinion needed from different people in those meetings, um, and obviously, you know, some of them are literally just to have the team together because people are
Right.
remote and things like that, and um, so that's just an interesting like ongoing dialogue as it relates to the workplace, is, you know, ensuring that people are in things that they only need to be in. But I think more importantly is when you talk about the partner relationship
Yeah.
and like the expectation side of communication. I know for me, what it's really been over the years, um, has been this, um, you know, in my head, I feel like I'm communicating what's necessary, but
Mm.
I'm getting the response that's telling me I'm not communicating what's
Yeah.
necessary.
Right.
So then like my decision has had to be over time to look at, you know, communication is really what the other person hears
Mm.
versus what I think I'm saying. Right. So then the question becomes, you know, hey, if this is like a riff in the partnership, right, then what do I need to do to give this person what they're actually asking for?
Mm.
So to me, it's been part of like my own journey, and like selfishness and self-centeredness is, well, I feel like I'm doing it the right way, but someone's telling me I'm not doing it how they need to hear it. So then like the decision like lies on me to either fix that
Just
or don't.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the challenge. And I think that's part of, back to like the larger conversation, which I want to stay on communication, but is like the expectations of men today.
Yeah.
Right. And we're having to do a lot of things that I don't think historically men have been asked to do. Um,
Yeah.
so how does it land when I say, like, you know, I may think I'm communicating something, but it's not landing with my partner. My partner's getting frustrated, upset, asking me for more. And then in my head, I'm saying, well, I'm giving you more, but
Mm.
it's still not landing. So like, how does that like resonate with you?
Yeah, like there's a part of like I know that my partner and people in my life want more in regards to communication. And also, I want to fulfill that need,
Sure.
right? I want to take care of my partner. I love her. I want to fulfill her needs. And then so I will. She'll bring it up and I'll be like, cool. Like I'm gonna communicate everything. And then I do it for a little bit and then like I just stop, you know? And I think it goes back to again, and maybe it's just the way that I'm wired differently. I go back to like, okay, well, it's not like that important, you know? And you hit the nail on the head where you said like, yeah, I'm taking that choice away from her to decide for herself. It's like, yeah, I am. That resonates.
Well, then that's what I had brought up, because part of my struggle, which again, like, to me, communication is like a muscle. You know, like it's like I have to go to the gym like regularly to build muscle or whatever, right? Communication is this constantly evolving thing where I'm having to like grow, and I'm having to like challenge myself and how I communicate more effectively. I mean, everywhere in my life, none more important than at home.
Right.
And part of my struggle over the years has been this really interesting story about like, can they handle it,
Mm,
dude, which is so off base, which is
yeah.
so fucked up,
Yeah.
because it's basically like, oh, the things that are in my head, like, how much do I share, how much do I not share, how much do I hold, like, you know, can they handle this? I know how much stress they're under, right? I'm walking through kind of how my like
Interesting.
head worked for like so long. oh, I know the stress they're under. I know all the things they have on their plate, this and
Yeah.
that. And like,
Yeah.
I'm making these assumptions. Maybe I'm thinking, oh, she's overwhelmed right now, or she's anxious right now, or
Right.
this, and I have all this. Should I communicate it? When should I communicate it? This, instead of just literally saying, hey,
Here it is.
here's what I've got.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and now it's like, you've asked for this, like I'm giving it like to you. Right.
Yeah.
So now like it's us as a unit though. Right. So part of it
That's
is,
tough, man, because that's like it's not like you're coming from a place of like I want to like keep stuff away from my partner. It's like good intentions, if you will. Like I don't want to overwhelm her. She's got a lot on her plate. I'm trying to be considerate, but that act of trying to be considerate is actually really inconsiderate.
yeah, and harmful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the struggle, is in this like evolution of masculinity where we're being asked to do more and more things. Now we're being asked to, right, to be like a really emotionally present human being
Yeah.
with partners, right? And we can speak like to the women in our lives. And I don't think historically that's really been a role that men have been in or been asked to be in,
No.
is to like be able to show up really emotionally and really communicate what's going on with them and really share like the burdens that like we're going through, and to
Right.
hear what they're going through, and to really be like that emotionally intelligent, like supportive partner in that way. And so for me, yes, it always historically was like this protective thing. Like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
protect
Yeah.
this person from the burden, the weight, the
Mm.
stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety, whatever I'm carrying. And yet, in that, like, this is being considerate. I like how you
Yeah.
frame that. It's super inconsiderate and is actually harmful.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a little different for me. You talk about like not wanting to burden your partner by, you know, too much and if she can handle it. That's never even been like something that I've thought about. For honestly, my struggles with communication are like I question, do they care? Like, are they gonna care?
Interesting.
So it's strange. It's like the same outcome but coming from two different places. Like I ask myself, okay, if I share this information, is she going to care? And then like I don't know, call it unresolved childhood trauma, but like I automatically lean towards no, you know no, which then I'm like, all right, well if she's not going to care, then why do I need to communicate about it? And it's not just with my partner. I mean, it shows up the most glaringly obvious with my partner, but like with my kids, with my friends. Like my preferential way of communication with anyone, you know this, is text message. Like honestly, I would not have phone calls with people for years. And like my girlfriend, when we first started dating, she was like, yeah, no, we're going to talk on the phone. And I remember almost hating talking on the phone because I hadn't done it for a long time. And then also it's like, oh, like what? You want to talk to me like on the phone? Like me. Okay. You know? And so like not like I've started to shift in that way. But you're right when talking about like historically, I think of men communicating historically was like once every 3 months you write a letter, you know, and it gets sent to whoever, you know. And it was like, here's a summary of the last 3 months. Talk to you in 3 months, you know. But that's not the reality of it. And you talking about like not wanting to burden your partner. Like, dude, people were off to war and battle, writing letters back home. Like, oh yeah, my friend just got blown up yesterday. We're taking enemy fire. Like, what's more like burdensome than that? Send that home. So some of these, I think, ideas that we have, where'd they come from?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, partnership as a concept, right? So like truly like working together, coming together as a unit to like achieve goals,
Mm,
right? Is no longer the woman is just at home raising the kids
for sure.
and like that's her sole responsibility, right? Now, right? You're collaborating on finances, you're collaborating on decisions, you're collaborating on like what are your values in the home, you're collaborating on where are we going, how are we living
Yeah.
life, how are we aligned, right? Like the dynamic has changed so much in the last 50 years, right? And I don't think
Yeah.
men in general were have evolved in that way, right? To like really look at like partnership, right? So how do we come together? And so part of it, yes, is I think like we weren't trained in how to like
For
create
sure.
effective partnerships with one another. Communication is like fundamental to that.
Hmm.
And then, it just comes back to, for me, like what type of relationship do I want? And I was speaking about this last night at dinner, that I think what has happened is so many women are finally saying, like, I don't want that type of relationship.
Yeah.
I want partnership. I want connection. I want
Hmm.
communication. And ultimately, I don't want to be with a boy trapped in a man's body. So you speak about like childhood trauma, right? And
Yeah.
these things, right? And like the stunted nature of, for many of us and for me, for almost 4 decades, right? Being
Yeah.
stuck in continuing to show up in the world with these stories and patterns and narratives of childhood, right? So being in a man's body, but yet very much in relationship like a boy to a woman.
Yeah.
And now women are really challenging that, right? So
Yeah.
they're forcing, in many ways, men to either look at this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which you're having to look at. I'm constantly having to look at. And, for us saying like, all right, like I don't know my way around this.
Yeah.
So what is the right answer? Right? It's like you said, like for you, it's like, does somebody actually want to hear what I have to say?
Yeah.
Is it valuable? Is it important? Right? For me, it's like, it's always been like feeling like I have the responsibility to carry so much weight
Yeah.
and to hold that, right? And to really be responsible for that. And in that, like, beautiful intention, it's really fucking hurtful.
Mm,
And so then it's back to like a lot of questions around the expectations of us as men. What are our needs as well?
yeah.
Right? Because it is a lot to hold. Again, either an internal belief of is what I actually feel and think inside. Does anybody actually give a shit?
Yeah.
Or
Is it
am
valuable?
I responsible to carry this completely on my own
Right.
with nobody actually really knowing me?
Yeah.
And they're just like big existential questions of what it means to be a man today. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, identity crisis, man. Like, yeah, it's it's time to grow up.
So what does that mean? Like when you say like time to grow up, like what does that mean?
I mean, personally, it's like a declaration. Time to grow up, bro. You know? But also, like, I think as men, not to say that we're not growing. I think, talk about the male suicide rates, man. Like, yeah, it's time. There needs to be a shift, a change. Something needs to happen. But just like personal experience, I literally used doing a bit of processing right now, real time. The excuse is what it was a couple weeks ago to my partner. in her requesting something, or I forget the context, but I said something along the lines of like, well, yeah, sometimes like there's this little boy in me that talks, that speaks for me. And like that was the end, that was it. I just made an excuse for whatever behavior, whatever happened. And then I was like, ah, I'm fine with that. And like now that I'm thinking about it, like it's pretty embarrassing. I wish maybe I didn't just say that on camera. But like that has to die, you know? There's some things that have to die, and that's one of them. Like I'm not a scared 7-year-old boy. I'm not. I'm a 30-something-year-old man. So like it's time to like act accordingly.
Yeah, and I mean the part of the declaration and the processing and diving deeper and really trying to, you know, for me it's really there's a piece of wanting to understand like where that's from. I'm really consciously aware of like
Yeah.
where that comes from.
Yeah.
The next is like just the behavior, right? So like
Mhm.
what do I have to do to actually like to change the behavior, right? And part of I think what's been so important for me in the journey has been the recognition that like my partner can handle shit.
Mm.
And I'll joke, I'll be like, I just don't know how you got through, 35 years of your life, without me. Right. And I'll joke about that. Right. But there's also so much like truth in that when I step back and go, dude, this woman like is fucking fine
Right.
without me. Do
Totally.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Ani brought up a great thing last night, right? Like that statistic on
Yeah.
when women become widowed,
Yeah.
they actually thrive, right?
Yeah, my
So,
partner shared the same study with me, and it was like alarming. Like, the main thing that a man can do to raise or increase their quality of life is to marry a woman. Like, that's the thing that men should all strive to do because it increases their quality of life. It's the opposite for women. Like, the thing that can decrease their quality of life is marry a man.
right.
And like my partner sent that to me. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like when we step out of like the little boy or whatever, right? Like oh, responding to that in
Yeah.
some way, there's so much truth in that, which
Yeah.
is that it, when it comes back to communication for me, it's there's a piece of, and I think this is important across the board with communication is right, like picking a spot, right? Like I don't need to unload and dump, right, all of what's going on with me onto anybody for that matter when maybe their anxiety's up, right? And that could just be people at work, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
when the right time to give somebody feedback, the right time to, to coach somebody up, right? Like there is a piece in that communication that's important to find the spot. But the key for me, especially in like the partner relationship, is to not then avoid it. Oh, it's not the right time. Right. So, like then I just won't communicate this. It's like, well, no, let me see how tomorrow is. Let me see how later today is.
Yeah.
Right. And to like continue to more than anything understand that like human beings can handle what I have going on. I am not carrying something, right, that is so burdensome that like the people in my life can't handle that.
Yeah.
To me, what I'm doing is like disempowering them. And even if I speak to it in like the context of I guess actually really life, I was going to say business, but is when I don't communicate something to somebody, I rob them of the fucking opportunity to be of service to me
Mm.
in some way. And if I reflect on that and process that a little bit here, I come from very much most of my life feeling like, well, there's not going to be anybody that shows up anyways. So what's the point?
Mm.
Right. And last night we were talking about this. which is like, what do you need as a man?
Mm. Yeah.
And I use the example of my partner asking me earlier in our relationship, what do you need? It was a beautiful, beautiful question.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not sure anyone's ever asked me that before. Like
Right.
in my entire life,
Right.
what do you need? Which then opens like such a whole nother trapdoor around identity and what it means to be a man and expectations and all of this is now people are, right? The people that are closest to us, the people that love us the most want nothing more than to actually know what we need. But if we are not communicating to them what we need or what's going on in our life, then we're effectively robbing them of the opportunity to
100%.
actually show up for us.
100%. Yeah, my partner she'll ask me like all the time, "How can I support you?" I don't know. I don't know. Just be there, you know? I'm not sure. Support me? You want to support me? Why? Yeah. Why would you want to do that? Which doesn't matter. The why doesn't necessarily matter. So, oh, but you do. You're asking me how. Okay, let me think about that. But yeah, I could sit here and probably think all day on what I need as a man and not come up with a very long list.
Which then from my perspective as your friend is like that's definitely something to go and to dig into, right? Because
Eh,
I know yeah,
mm,
because I know like as a human being and as a man, there are things that would be transformative in you. And I shared an example yesterday of something for me was a lot of times it's such simple things, but they had never happened before. So then when my partner started to do them, I was mind blown. Right. And I used the example last night of the simple thing of her recognizing like I hadn't had coffee and us driving somewhere and her seeing a coffee shop and saying, hey, like, why don't we pull off? There's a coffee shop and we'll get you some coffee because I know you haven't had coffee today. And I was like mind blown
yeah,
that someone actually recognized that I hadn't
right,
had a cup of coffee and that I might want a cup of coffee. And therefore, like, we should do that because that would be something like important for you.
right,
And like inside feeling so full
yeah,
and being like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious right now? And like something so simple, right? Which then began to unlock more questions around this. Like, yeah, if that feels so impactful, then what else could there be?
right,
I'm not saying I'm much further along
yeah.
than where you're saying you are,
Well,
but
just for me, like asking for help is like a, or asking for needs. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that.
why?
Oh, well, I shared a little bit yesterday. Like, was in this foster home. It's not great. Bunch of kids. Nasty lady running it. And like her whole thing was like, give these kids the bare minimum required by the state. And like, if they asked for anything more, that was like the worst possible thing you could do. And she would send you outside, like in the cold, sit there for an hour. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That's what she would say all the time. And it was like ingrained in my being. Okay, you just get what you get and like you just deal with it. And like asking is like a bad thing. Don't do that. You know, and for some reason, like I've just held on to that idea subconsciously since then. So I have a hard time with that.
Hmm. So it's not just asking for help for you. I mean,
No, it's literally asking for anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can relate with the idea, right? It wasn't in foster care, so I don't have that experience. I, for so many years, just never felt like anybody would actually give me
Mm,
what I wanted,
yeah.
right? Or in so much of what I actually wanted was just like closeness and emotion and connection and some of these things. And I know we don't talk about that a lot as men.
Right.
Um, and yet still that like barrier that exists from what if I ask for something? What will happen? And I
Yeah.
think that's like this black hole of unknown for so many men is if I ask for something, how's that going to be perceived? Am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it? And then historically, maybe a lot of us didn't get that, right? So we just don't want to go through that pain one
Yeah.
more time from somebody we love, right?
Mm.
And so then we avoid that. And
And then it's like, oh, that's a piece of communication. Cause then it's like, how could my partner, my friend, my family member ever like give me support or what I need or what I want if I never ask for it? And if I never communicate that, you know? And I think I've become like so numb over time that like I'm not resentful anymore. Maybe I was when I was younger, but like now it's just like, ah, you just get what you get, you know? It's fine. It's fine. It's like probably the thing I've said the most in my life. It's fine. Or I'm fine. And like believing that, like forcing myself to believe that. Like I'm fine. Like, am I fine?
for me, it doesn't even have to do with fine or not. It's one thing I know about myself is that I can carry a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
I can carry a lot on my shoulders.
Big shoulders.
Do you even lift?
Every day.
Yeah. Gym.
Gym,
Yeah.
weights, press.
I can carry a whole lot of weight when it comes to life, when it comes
Yeah.
to disappointment, when it comes to whatever it is. I can carry a lot of it. What I've started to realize though is there's so much freedom in letting somebody else walk with me
Mm.
in that. So whether it's again just male relationships, whether it's in business, right? Like the greatest reflection in business for me is right last company, like was totally felt like this was all on me. I'm carrying the whole weight, right? Even though like you have partners, you have a whole staff, you have all this, but like it's all on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus today, it's like, no, it's on every single person that works at Ava Health.
Yeah.
Boy, is there a massive amount of freedom that exists when you realize like the
Yeah.
distribution of that weight is across the board to all of these different people and like having empowered them to now
Mm-hmm.
where they feel a part of and they feel respected and they feel valued for being able to carry a lot of that weight, right? So friendship, business, partnership, right? Like what happens when you start to carry together instead of carrying individually, So it's like there's an element of that, but also it's really fulfilling and it has been really fulfilling to me to start to really dive into like creating partnership, true relationships in a way where someone's able to carry with you. And it's not this like sense of I'm just holding the burden
Right.
and all of that.
And it's like, dude, honestly, peel back all the layers. Like one of the things I want most in this world is to have true partnership with someone to walk through this beautiful journey of life together, the ups and the downs and the struggles and the good times and the bad times, but do it together with someone. I want that so badly. I want to carry the weight of all this with a person in true harmony and trust. Like that's what I want so badly. But like my preference is to just shoulder it all myself. Like even though that's what I want it to my core. I want that. But I won't ask for that. And I would just rather carry that alone. And it's like,
Would you? I don't get that sense when I'm,
I have.
well, I know you have,
Yeah. And so, like,
but you got a lot of life left. So it's not like
correct.
we're sitting here at 85 years
Well, see,
old,
back in my day,
right? Where you're saying I'm just going to carry it until, right? I'm no longer breathing, right?
well, I
You got,
mean, dude, like, I'm trying, I have that now. And I guess I'm learning in this partnership that I have now to like let her be my partner. And I'm in it right now. The process of learning to
Sure.
do that. And when we're doing that, I love it, man. And I feel like such a relief. And I feel like valuable. Like I feel like I'm valued, you know? And I feel like I matter. And so yeah, I love it and that's what I'm working towards. But like I've known this since I was a child that that's what I wanted. So being in my early mid 30s, it hasn't happened yet. So like yeah, I would say that there's probably some part of me that like would prefer to just do it alone because that's what I've done.
Yeah, for me it's selfishness. Like
Ugh,
that's for me, right?
for
It's
me.
um, yeah, I'm not saying for you. For me, it's
Mm,
selfishness.
okay. That
And
sounds.
historically what has happened is I haven't listened,
Yeah.
right? So my like mindset historically across the board has just been like I know better. And actually intentions were actually great with that. Part of it of course is like ego, right? That like I
Right.
somehow know what you need, right? Like that's a little crazy when you actually sit here and actually say that out loud, right? Like how the fuck would I know what you need better than you? So instead I'll make a bunch of assumptions
Yeah.
about what people need, right? So again, that's across the board, right? Um, business, relationships, partnership, right? I know better. So like that's a problem of listening. Like
Mm,
if somebody will tell you what they want, what they need, right? Do I actually listen to that? And do I actually do that and follow through on that? Or do I not? So for me, a lot of the exploration has been like, how do I actually be present enough to listen
to listen.
and actually then do, right? And to not be so selfish to think, well, I know the right thing for all of these people in my life. So I'll just do that.
Right.
And then if it doesn't land, well, then I'll blame you. And that's like, I mean, like that's some deep insight into like me,
Yeah.
right? Is then I would like blame
Yeah.
people, business partners, for disempowering them and taking on their jobs and doing them and then
Mm,
wondering why they're upset about it. Or again, in relationship, like somebody says, this is exactly what I need, what I want. I do something different and then get mad
yeah.
because it didn't like go off how I thought it should.
Right.
Right. So then it's like, how can I be present enough to actually just listen, step out of like my own selfishness, my own like, right. It's almost back to what you said earlier about like, my preference is this. Well, that's fine, but that's for me, it's selfish. Like
Right.
that's my preference, but I'm
Totally.
in a partnership, right?
Right.
So if I want to be in that partnership and to grow that partnership, then I really have to explore like what stands in the way of my
Mm,
truly listening, truly hearing, and then truly following through on what like this person's asking of me. And so like back to like the
I
larger,
think you're onto something there.
yeah,
I think you're on this. I mean, the fact that we're almost through this whole podcast that's about communication and all that I've talked about is talking and miss the whole other half of communication, which is listening. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you might be on something.
well, and to bring it back to just like the expectations that we're under and how, right, the expectations of men are changing in our society today, right? And how it's no longer just to protect and to provide, right? And to procreate, right? Like, I mean, historically, like that's been the expectation of a man,
That's
right?
it.
Protect, provide, give me kids. Right now, right? It's no, we actually want you to listen.
Mm,
We want to communicate our needs,
mm,
right? But then I think like we're being asked to do the same, to listen, to communicate our needs, right? And to form true partnership,
Yeah.
right? I think that's one of like the biggest challenges that like we're going through right now as men is we're being asked to do these things and we don't have a lot of formula for it, foundation, training of how to do that. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're now being asked to do more and to really, kind of flatten out that like this can be a real partnership. So it's not that we're just being asked to do even more. We're being asked to do different things
Yeah.
and to shift how we show up in the world. And I think like that's a lot of the struggle and challenge that we're
Yeah.
going through.
Once that's difficult, but it is what it is.
I mean, it is, and again, obviously like these are going to be like ongoing dialogues around just continuing to explore right masculinity and what it means to be a man
Correct.
today. And
There's so much more to dive into about masculinity, about men's issues, struggles, challenges, ways of growth, ways of being, ways that we show up, conflict. I mean, I guess oh, it starts with just an open dialogue about these things, you know,
yeah, I mean, listen,
and talk.
90% talk,
Yeah,
10% listen. That's the good
ish.
ish.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's where at least I'll close out like what I want to say today is based on that, right? Like my continued growth as a human being, right? And as a man in the world today, in every part of life, is being able to listen and being able to truly hear what people are saying, whether that's verbally, non verbally, right? Doing my best not to make assumptions as to what I think people need. And mostly because I think I'll shoulder the burden instead of how do we come together as a unit to shoulder whatever is in front of us together. And that continues to help
Mm,
break down this historical side of me that has been so overwhelmingly run by self centered fear and by selfishness, and that I can't trust, and that I have to hold this. And that's always what I have been trained to do as a man in today's world. And now I'm being asked to do very different things and being able to step into the discomfort, step into these areas in a way where I have continued to see the more that I dip my toe in to this, the benefit of it.
yeah.
So I continue to be very motivated towards, what will continue to happen the more that I listen and actually do what someone's asking me to do, following through, right? A lot of these things. And so for me, I continue to be really inspired in many ways to want to challenge these belief systems I have and the ways I've showed up in the world because I'm getting the return slowly but surely and seeing, ooh, like this feels really good to operate in this way, to get in really togetherness.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you.
Keep going.
I concur.
Keep going. Maybe on one of these next upcoming episodes where we're diving into masculinity, we're going to talk about what do you need? Some of you need, but
Me, I need nothing. I'm fine.
you hear to hear first.
I'm fine.
Roman's fine, doesn't need anything. But what is men like? What's the process look like
All right.
right now today for men to actually be able to
Yeah,
express what they need?
that'll be a good conversation. And I think that my takeaway from today is just that, like, I'm a man and, like, I matter. Like, my voice matters, my opinion matters, my wants, my needs, my desires, my thoughts, my feelings are valid. Like, it all matters. And, like, people care, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, so fucking share. Yeah. Should we talk about male suicide rates, man? Fucking share. We share. We matter. Our voice matters.
Don't suffer in silence anymore.
Yeah.
I love you, Rome.
Love you too, man. Class is in session. Grab your backpacks and your notebooks. Brokenish. Talking masculinity, communication,
That's it. Hard truths,
real conversations
sparks of possibility.
from a world that's a little
Broken.
ish.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next week. It's all love.
Peace be with you.
Peace.